Hi, welcome to Laura View and Tarot 2. I'm really glad you're here. Today's date is Thursday, June 1st, 2023. We're going down a rabbit trail tonight, so I hope you join me. We won't go deeply, and I'll go with you, and we may come to a dead end. But there's something I'm curious about, and I really wanted to ask the cards about, and I'll explain, take the mystery out of this introduction here very soon. There is an iconic photo that was taken when our 45th president was in office, showing him with a large group of high-ranking officials and military personnel. Let me show you that picture, and then we're going to discuss what I'm curious about. Okay, 1 second. Okay, here's the photo in question. You can see that number 11 is our 45th president. Number 12 is our vice president. So the remainder of them seem to be military personnel of one stripe or another, no pun intended. Okay. Now, an Anon has taken it upon themselves to look at this picture and do something that interested me. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right. They crossed out everyone on this picture, which originally had 23 individuals. There is no X on 45th's face. I found it very interesting, but this isn't where we're going. I just want to point it out. Even number 12, Mike Pence, is X'd out, indicating he's been processed and dealt with. Okay? Now, the other person that is not crossed out yet, but will be in October when this term is up, is number 2, General Mark Milley of U.S. Army Chief of Staff. That's where we're going with this question with the 23 and all of these X's, because it's been noted that there were 23 individuals, and then we've heard the phrase 23, now comes the pain. It was actually a password for 17. It obviously isn't still the password, but let me show you what I'm talking about. 1 second. On one of the 17 drops, they didn't put the trip code over the password. And this may have been intentional, but you can see that now comes the pain. 23 was at one point the password for 17. I think this may have been deliberate. Now, General Milley has not always acted in the best interests of the administration, especially the Trump administration. I think Biden's pretty happy with him, but Trump might not have been, because here is a Gateway Pundit article that talks about a book that just closed, and it was done by Bob Woodward, who is a journalist that seems to have a little bit of integrity, that he hid the nuke codes from Trump, held secret calls with Chinese defense officials, and then surrendered to the Taliban and armed them with $80 billion in US weapons when 46 was amongst us, and still is, unfortunately. Okay, so we saw the picture. We saw that only 2 individuals aren't crossed out yet, General Mark Milley and our 45th president. So here's the speculation. I think there was enough careful thought put into every 17 drop that trip code showing wasn't an accident. I think it might have been deliberate. And I think that was so that we would have that phrase available to us. Now 23, now comes the pain. Now, there's been previously speculation that the reference was to 2023. And indeed, our 45th president has alluded to the fact that something needs to happen this year. That by next year, 2024, we won't have a country. The universe isn't great about getting pinpoints on dates. But it is great on sharing information and insights about situations. So that's how I'm going to do this. I would like to ask the cards. Here's the rabbit trail. The phrase 23, now comes the pain. Is it possible that the 23rd person we're waiting for here is actually the end of the term in October for General Milley? And will that be actually the springboard for now comes the pain? So that's my question for the universe. Is the 23, now comes the pain, is there any relation to that and the upcoming end of term for General Mark Milley? And is there other insights or information the universe would like us to have? Let's find out. The phrase 23, now comes the pain. Is there a possible connection to the 23rd individual who will be exiting from that the public stage, General Mark Milley, in October? And other insights or information the universe wishes to share. Hey, her first card is Death. Wheel of Fortune. Queen of Cups. Four of Swords. Justice. The World. And the Ten of Swords. Okay, I can tell you right now, with all of these major arcana showing up, that this is, number one, a good question. And number two, there is a connection here with the exiting of the person seen in the public eye as General Mark Milley, and his departure in October, and now comes the pain. Okay, our question was indicate now, and for those of you that aren't overly familiar with the tarot cards, let me point out that the major arcanas are the Death card, 1, Wheel of Fortune, number 2, the World, number 3, and the Justice card, number 4. We got 4 out of 7 cards that were major arcanas, and there are only 22 major arcanas in the 78 card deck. So statistically, it's significant just by that number showing up. Now, the Death card talks about long, slow changes, and certainly as our world has been moving from dark to light, this has been a long, slow process, making people aware that actually they were enslaved, that there was a better hope for us and a better outcome for us to be reaching for. The Wheel of Fortune is always changing. And because our world is going from dark to light, we got the transformation, the ending of era here, dark to light. Yes, in October, when General Milley leaves, we're going to start seeing a move towards the light with the Wheel of Fortune showing up here for our insight and information. The recent past, we have the Queen of Cups showing up, always a good signifier of emotional intelligence, to use yours for your discernment, to be watching events, to be recognizing truth from fiction, truth from lies, and using your discernment, which is an emotional intelligence. So it's been used in the past. It's kind of advising us to keep using it. Let's look ahead here at the current. We've got the Four of Swords, which indicates somewhat of a time of rest or relaxation, or just less activity. I think since it's a political read, we're going to go with the wording of less activity here. Okay. But always with the Four of Swords, there's some information that's not available yet on our plane of existence, and may not be, because I truly believe that the universe protects the actions of the Alliance, the White Hats, those who are working to free humanity and have us reach our potential and be restored back on the path our Creator intended for us. But it can also be a hidden blessing or a gift headed our way. So let's think positively. Let's hope it is. And I think it might be, because look here, we got the Justice card coming. I don't need to explain the Justice card. That means just what it says. Justice is coming in the near future. All right. Now, and it's not just for one country. We've got the world showing up here right beside it. Talk about two very powerful positive cards right together. And as always, reefs on tarot cards indicate victories, and this is a worldwide victory. Okay. The 10 of Swords gives us even more emphasis here, because the 10 of Swords is about the end of an era. We are at the end game. Okay. So I try not to do what's called in Anon circles date fagging, but there does seem to be a connection between the 23rd individual on that iconic picture. According to the cards here, there is something involving General Mark Milley, his upcoming departure in October, and the kickoff of Now Comes the Pain. Let's get a couple more cards, see if there's more insights to be had for us, more information. King of Cups and the Five of Wands. Now, fives are usually temporary situations. They resolve fairly fast. The Five of Wands with the King of Cups is telling us that when the king shows up, he often indicates a lot of self-control emotionally, to be able to make decisions and not be emotionally attached to them. So that's when you make some of those hard choices. King of Cups can do that. He can be a little bit tricky, but really what he's doing is just honoring his detachment from situations. And so we've got just a nod that when this kicks off, there will be some events that won't last very long, that we probably need to be detached from emotionally, just like the King of Cups might be. And a couple more, another wands or events. We've got the Eight of Wands showing up with the Two of Cups. So as justice is happening, okay, we need to detach from it as much as possible, even though we'll watch events closely. They will happen quickly once they start happening. You know, we have people talking about sky events, ascension events, things like that that are supposed to happen fast. Wands kind of bolster that, as far as they're talking about quickly moving events. Okay, now that can be on the earthly plane, the astronomical plane. It can be any plane at all. The Two of Cups is a card of balance and agreement between two parties, where they come to an accord. They, for the benefit of both, it's a very cordial type of connection card here, and one of agreement. So I think what we're going to see is, as things resolve, there's going to be people that were on the fence for waking up or accepting some hard truths, and we're going to be there for them, and we need to be. We're going to be using our emotional intelligence always to help those that are on the cusp of waking up, once they finally start doing it, to be less caught up in emotions on events, especially that which involves fear-mongering or anxiety-producing efforts. So we need to detach from those. So that's what I'm getting from this. Yeah, we actually are onto something with that 23, and now comes the pain. So let's recap. Our question was to the universe, could there be a connection between that iconic picture of our 45th president with those individuals in the military, especially since so many of them have been removed or left those positions since that picture was taken? And the only one remaining actually actively there, and as far as we know, not processed, is General Mark Milley, who will be leaving when his term is up in October. Now, we knew that we saw, because the trip code hadn't been applied over a 17 post password back years ago, that 23, now comes the pain, was a password that was used. Speculation was, and my thought is, that that actually was disclosed to us for information purposes. So we were asking, is the departure of General Milley from his post in October does that have a relationship to events happening? Now comes the pain. Wow, did we get confirmation on that? First of all, our question was indicated by the death card and the Wheel of Fortune, two major arcanas right there saying, good question, I have information for you. Death card often talks about long, slow changes. Okay? The Wheel of Fortune is always turning. And since our world is going from dark to light, whenever it shows up for me, I consider it positive. So that was our question. Now, as I said, we had 4 out of 7 original cards that were major arcanas. The 2 others that showed up in the near future were Justice, which needs no explanation, and the World. Now, the World card is a victory card, wreaths for victory. So justice is coming for more than one country, for many, many countries. So it looks like we may have an interesting fall season coming up. Well, with this reminder, just because I don't want to have anybody riding an emotional roller coaster because of me. If I help you stay positive, that's fabulous. If I help you keep your perspective through news cycles, great. But always, always remember, this is a process of freeing our entire world, humanity, getting us back on track, getting some restoration of skills, abilities, and our DNA that it was tampered with. This is a military campaign, and military campaigns advance based on objectives, not the calendar. So as objectives are met and markers are reached, advancement occurs. So that's why, even though we were kind of asking about when he leaves in October, is there a connection here? It may have more to do with, I hope it's fall. I mean, I hope it's summer. But keep in mind that change will occur based on objectives met. But when change occurs, and it will occur, because the world is going to be victorious in this, openly, honestly victorious in this. When it does, it's going to be the Wheel of Fortune changes for the entire world, not just one country. So we do have big events that are on the way. And if you're tired of hearing that, well, I'm sorry. It may be a good time for you to unplug for a little bit and do some gardening, grow some flowers, take a walk, fire up the barbecue, whatever you need to do. Because while those things are happening on our plane of existence, our job still is to be living the best life possible, being the best person possible, and just basically, let's be good humans, okay? Take care of ourselves and others without guilt, and be the kindest, best version of yourself you can be, because that's what's going to help keep our spirits and vibrations high and help provide energy for the good changes we want, not the dark and evil things that have kept us oppressed and down for far, far too long. I'm talking thousands of years. So until next time, I wish you love and light and all things bright. I will see you soon. By the way, I'm off on a little adventure tomorrow, and I may be able to post something Friday, Saturday, but definitely I'll be back Saturday night and post something Sunday if you haven't seen me till then. So normally if I take more than one day with being off on a video, I like to give you some warning and maybe a 2-day stretch here. May not, we'll see. I do always travel with my laptop so that if a big event occurs that a read is needed and you can handle just, minimal equipment, type of production, I can get it out there to you. So until next time, as I said, love and light and all things bright.